All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Look, a lot of stuff out there today, but the main thing that broke, and it broke Friday after my show was over, is something I've talked about for many years, and I really lost my mind. Brandon's getting texts from me going, I could see you almost go, oh, my God.
Every time I send a text to you about something going on the weekend, I would get back a Louisiana, what you're about to talk about, text from you about how much we're struggling. Well, I'm like, Monday is going to be explosive.
I'm losing my mind again because it makes me so mad. Today is doom and gloom day in the legislature. And that's right, doom and gloom day. The Senate Finance is going to have all these people coming through talking about the budget, and they just sent out, you notice how one of the hospitals here sent out a deal with 770 people going to get fired. Today, nursing home evictions will be sent out this week. 37,000 residents. Plus, send nursing home eviction notices. Okay, because we don't pass any taxes. Now, as you know, and I'll go back to even relating to my good buddy Dallas Hickson at Hickson Autoplex. We've been talking about this probably for 5 years, but 2 years really heavy. Well, what have we been talking about? About our economy and how we're doing the wrong things and how we thinking we're going to tax and tax and tax and tax our way to prosperity with this co-governorship we got, Bill Edwards and Jay Dorn. Jay Dorn's co-governor. 85% of people rejected him, but he got to be the governor because all he had to do was stab Vitter in the back. So what am I talking about? Louisiana's GDP slumped second straight year, slowest rate in the country in 17. Second straight year in a row that our GDP, gross domestic product, folks, the market value of all goods and services produced, okay, the most common measuring stick in the United States economy, shows us declining minus 0.4% in 2016 and minus 2% in 2017. And what do? All we talking about is taking money from people and businesses as people out-migrate for jobs. If we don't radically change our job market in this state, we're going to have people going out of business left and right. All prices are now breaking through $70, and we're not moving because our governor decides we're going to sue the boop out of all companies. And look, you keep picking up and reading Jim Beam pieces and Greg Hilbin pieces in the Advocate, who doesn't have a clue about what they're talking about. Who they've made up their mind, the bad Republicans in the House are such bad people, and they keep promoting every tax increase known to mankind, and I'm watching our GDP for 2 years go down as the rest of the economy booms all over the country and in the South except Louisiana. This is what we've been talking about. You can't grow government twice the rate of the economy, which, by the way, Brett Guyman, Blake Migas, Cameron Henry, Lance Harris, John Schroeder, has been talking about this for years with us. You can't do it. They got all the stats showing that our growth in government is doubling our growth in the economy. And so what's happening is you got fewer and fewer people to pay the bills. And folks, as we get smaller, when your GDP is slumping, it's in a negative number, your economy's getting smaller. We got less people to pay taxes, and we got less people to contribute to all this so-called great Louisiana government we have. I mean, this is what's going on, folks. Our economy is shrinking for 2 years. You know what we did in 2016? There was $2.4 billion taxes passed in 2016. You follow me? Let's see. What was that? Edwards' first year? 16? Yeah, first year. We passed $1.8 billion worth of taxes. There was $2.4 billion passed for all 50 states, and Louisiana passed $1.8 billion of it. And here we go. We're lining up at the Senate Finance Committee going, oh, we got to close hospitals and nursing homes. We don't have no money. Because we don't have the right priorities in the state of Louisiana. We're running businesses out of here, and I'll say it again. If government's so great when we give it money, and that's going to help the economy, and Bell Edwards and the media, not all of them, but the printed media especially, tried to make the case that our economy is growing because of Medicaid. We have got jobs because of Medicaid. Dumbest argument I've ever heard. And the stupidity of the print press actually killed trees and put that out for people to read. And boy, wait till you get to Bean. I'm telling you, Bean is been covering the legislature 50 years. He's a 50-year idiot. The man needs to quit writing stuff. Tensions still air at Capitol. But this right here, folks, says it all about who we are in our economy. $70 oil. And what are we doing? We got the governor encouraging 6 parishes are suing the state of Louisiana. We got the governor encouraging the lawsuits. I'll tell you what else they want. They want a hurricane to come so they can have an economy. Folks, we're shrinking, and people are leaving. And I don't care what you say. You can't tax businesses and people to prosperity. I've been explaining this for years. You can't tell people, look, if you're let's take home pay and give it to the government, give it to state government, give it to John Alario to play with. If we do all that, boy, you're going to prosper. No. Bean keeps making a point that the Republicans don't want Edwards to win re-election. What do you think these taxes are about? It's buying votes. If the private sector is shrinking and leaving, we need to build up the public sector, and then they just keep voting for the leftist Looney Tune Edwards and Darden. That don't make any sense. What these people are doing to our state, folks, you got to wake up. This governor is bad. And he's bad by what he's doing to us. He's not talking about jobs and prosperity. Lanny Keller of the Advocate. I'm talking about a Edward sycophant and a lover of Jay Darden. I don't mean that literally, Brandon, but he loves Jay Darden. I don't know about the lover part, but he loves Jay Darden. He wrote an article the other day about how you can't go against Edwards and say he's not pro-business. Oh, okay. Well, what do you call this minus GDP for the last 2 years? That means businesses are not expanding, folks. They're not expanding. You can't keep taking money from the few businesses. They leave, they close, people leave, and then you say, okay, well, let's hit the people that are still here harder. And that's all you've been getting from the media, the printed media. That's all you've been getting. Over and over and over again. And yet, we have a minus GDP of 0.2% last year, minus 4 in 2016. But taxes are up $2 billion. And they keep telling you it's not. And they keep telling you what a great business climate we have. How can you be shrinking, one of the only states that are shrinking in economy, and call that prosperity? You can't take from people who don't have. And yet, you see this Medicaid thing? This Obama Medicaid thing is breaking every state. This Obama Medicaid thing is breaking every state. And nobody even cares about it. But the old printed press. Anyway, I'll give you some more numbers when I get back. We got a minus economy here in the last 2 years. Negative growth. All prices at $70 a barrel, and the governor's encouraging lawsuit with his lawyer sycophants. I'm just starting, folks. This ought to make y'all get the reds at this governor and what's happening in this state. I've been telling y'all, you can't grow the government twice of what the economy grows. It doesn't work. It never will, never has. It's been tried in different countries, and they fall flat. You know, they keep popping these Republican House members. If I'm the House members today on the Senate Finance, or the Senate members today, I go, okay, y'all want all this money for this, this, and this, but our economy's shrinking. You do realize that. And we're losing jobs, and people are out migrating. Where do we get the money from? And they need to start telling them, we don't have it. We don't have the money for the Medicaid growth. We don't. And if we're going to hit the businesses and keep pounding on the businesses in the state of Louisiana, we're going to lose them. $70 oil. And Brandon, I read some reports going to be back up to 100. And we're not going to have the business because we're too busy suing the oil companies led by the governor's lawyer buddies. Here we go. Louisiana posted its second straight yearly decline in gross domestic product in 2017, putting the state last in the country's rate of economic growth. The state's GDP rate was minus 0.2 in 2017, followed a minus 4% in 2016. By the way, that's when we had one of the biggest tax increases in the history of Louisiana, led by Bill Edwards, and that's why I told Republicans don't vote for that. If they voted for that, a lot of them voted for that crap. Told them not to, listen, this proves 100% what we've always said. We have a major spending problem in this state. And we have a major leadership problem in the state. Remember, John Hilario is going to take us to prosperity. 44 years, 46 years. It's going to be 48 years when he gets out. And he's going back to the House to continue to lead us. And let me tell you something else was not going to fix this, Brandon. You ready? A constitutional convention now should be washed out because it's not going to fix this. You cannot fix a spending problem with a constitutional convention. You cannot fix a spending problem by raising taxes. This ought to prove it to everybody. All these years of being right. Unfortunately, I was right. I've been talking to Dallas, who's a really good business guy. And we've talked about this many times, about a cliff and about how we right on that edge and that slippery slope, and we went over it. GDP defined as the market value of goods and services produced is among the most common measuring stick for the U.S. economy. So we're using watch them write stories how this is really not true. You won't see Jim Beam write about this because he doesn't have the intelligence to write about it. He's not a journalist. This guy is a Bill Edwards sycophant, deputy press secretary. That's who he is, telling people in Lake Charles this crap over and over again. They're mad at Vitter. Vitter didn't win. No, we've been over Vitter. We've been moved on. We don't like a liberal leftist governor running a red state. The annual figures 2017, Louisiana came better in the fourth quarter last year, but still way behind the southern average and way behind the U.S. average. We're not even close. The little socialist Greg Albrecht, chief economist of the Louisiana Legislative Fiscal Office, said the figures track generally with employment and tax data, suggesting Louisiana is still feeling the lingering effects of oil prices-driven recession that's dragged the state's economy down in recent years. See, this is what I like. The little socialist blames the oil and gas industry. Well, why, Greg Albrecht, you ever thought, let me think, what's slowing down oil and gas in the great state of Louisiana? It's $70. We ought to be hiring people. But we're not. Why? Well, they've got a thing called lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit pounded on people by Bill Edwards' buddies in the lawsuit business. I ran into my buddy, what's today? Saturday. So when you coming on the air? He said, some of the people at oil and gas want to come on, some don't, Brandon. I can understand the ones that don't. But you better come state your case, or you're not going to have a job here. So they dragged the state economy down. The oil price-driven recession, well, guess what? It's $70 a barrel now. And by the way, our budget was based on, I don't know, Brandon, around 51, 52, 53. The decline in GDP also suggests the state's economy is not diversified enough to weather the type of prolonged downturn seen since oil prices fell off the cliff several years ago. Isn't this amazing? They keep bringing all businesses back up. Go down Highway 90, almost 100 signs going there and coming back of lawsuits. You've been injured. Somebody said hey the wrong way to you today. Somebody didn't say hi properly. Somebody didn't say yes, sir. Somebody spilled their Coke on you. Call me. I'll sue the hell out of them. Sue the law company. Sue. Run people out the state. But they always say the oil company, oil prices are up, folks. Our economy ought to start to roar. They killing the goose that laid the golden egg. Then they blame them for the problem here. But we're not diversified because people aren't coming to invest here because of what we got governing the state. And they also see you got an economy growing half of what government's growing. Why would somebody come here? Oh, by the way, we're still waiting for Robert Adley, Ask Adley, to tell us about that company, the name of that company that really wants to come here if we get our budget straight. Robert Adley's so full of boop, not even funny. Anyway, I'm not even finished with this. Am I pumped today? Yeah, because we're so much better than this. And if you think raising taxes is going to get us there, you're a fool. You're a fool's fool. You're not even a cool fool. You're an outright fool. Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-6666-6607.
It's a Monday.
Has a hotline. I know. I hit a 5. Where the heck did that come from? I don't know. A 5. Huh? 5 days to the work week until Friday. All righty, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Yes, somebody already texted me, you okay today? I told him, yeah, I'm great. But Brandon knew it before I even got here today. He said, I already know what you're doing today. I said, well, Brandon, it's so frustrating.
I'm like, Moon, NBA playoffs. LeBron, did you see that shot? Brandon, the economy's terrible. It's Bell Edwards.
Bell Edwards would have blocked that shot. Anyway, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Well, trust me, they'll come out with a new stat that the press, the pro-Edwards media will write, we're third in business climate. Oh, really? Let them go ahead and throw that number out there. The GDP, the number that was used here is what they use mostly to show the economy all over the country. The South is rolling, the country's rolling, and we're negative. That average, the GDP growth in the, let me put this down, the GDP growth in the U.S. 2.7%, and in the Southeast 2.9%, and we've been minus. And I've been telling y'all, the unemployment number, they've been bragging about bringing that down. Remember, I've been saying, well, tell me what you did to bring it down. People quit looking for work, and they moved. We got our migration problem. This all goes together, folks. The people that are out-migrating the state ain't with Medicaid and the government workers. They're not. That's not who's leaving the state. The people leaving the state's the private sector and the businesses. Folks, you ought to be so frustrated to know the co-governorship didn't work. It's a failure. Just got a text from somebody. I do sales for all field service company. Everyone I visit say they will do as little as possible or not do any work in Louisiana as long as the governor is in office because he's suing and wanting to overtax all companies. Time for him to go. Yes, I know this. I remember when Don Briggs was here that day, he pleaded with people. And folks, $70+ a barrel oil, and our people are not working because of lawsuits. Now, you go ahead and believe another tax is going to make it prosper. You go ahead and believe that if me and you have less take-home money and businesses don't have as much. You remember, we got the tax breaks from Donald Trump. And that tax break went straight to the state of Louisiana. Now, Bell Edwards didn't set that in motion, but the state took it. And they took it with a big smile. They never said, well, you know what, we're going to give you all that back. Because they don't want us to have it back. They not only took that, they want a hell of a lot more. Albright keeps saying, well, the problem's all in gas. The problem's all in gas. You're right, the problem's all in gas. And what y'all doing is the problem. As all in gas boom has exploded in the shale fields in places like Texas, where horizontal drilling technology has made onshore extraction cheaper and more lucrative than offshore drilling, traditionally a large part of Louisiana's economy. I think what's driving Louisiana's economy are some global factors that we have no control over, such as the price of oil, said Jim Richardson, an LSU economist who sits on what does he sit on? He sits on the board that tells us how much money we have, Revenue Estimating Conference. He's been wrong for a dozen years. He also said the four-quarter positive numbers that we had with too small a sample size to tell if the state's trending in the right direction. He also warned Louisiana is very trade-sensitive, particular risk of threats of trade war play in our country. Non-durable good manufacturing fared the worst in Louisiana, sector down 0.9% last year. Mining, oil and gas extraction posted the largest gain of 0.31%. All prices have risen, but still not to the level that lures drillers from other areas. Well, why would they come here knowing they're going to be sued? And the governor's right-hand man on natural resources in these suits are sitting right there helping and advocating the suits from the parishes. With the governor saying, well, yeah, you don't get on this board now, you're going to miss out. And all of his buddies in these law firms are the ones trying to make out. And you, folks, this is just outright outrageous. But today, they're going to be at the Capitol in the doom and gloom fiscal finance committee, crying about we're not going to have money for this and we're not going to have money for that. You're not going to have money for anything if you don't have a growing economy. I've been explaining this for 25 years. Your economy grows and government goes along with it when you create jobs and you create wealth, you create tax bases, you create lots of them, and the tax base grows with the economy. If raising taxes, y'all, if raising taxes will grow the economy and Medicaid expansion grows the economy like Bell Edwards and the printed press wants us to believe, well, hell, let's all go on Medicaid. We'll have a booming economy. It doesn't make any sense. And you read a Jim Beam story, you ought to fall out laughing at the man. And Greg Hilbin don't have a clue. And Lanny Keller is a sycophant for the left. Tyler Bridges is the press secretary for Bell Edwards. Although, Brady, you got to admit, he's kind of dialed it back a little bit this year. I think Jim Beam has become the press secretary now. Tyler Bridges must be the deputy press secretary. And the Nola Times-Picayune and Stephanie Gray, these people don't even know what they're talking about. They write about things they have no clue. They got their agenda. I understand their agenda, but the agenda is based on lies. The whole thing's based on a lie. Last year, the U.S. as a whole grew at 2.1%. We were down 0.2%. The southeast part of the country grew at 2%. We were down 0.2%. The year before that, we were down 0.4%. The largest gains amongst southeast states in the fourth quarter of 2000 was Texas, had the largest growth in the country during the period. Now, we're next door to Texas. And we're doing totally opposite of Texas. They're growing and booming. We're not. They're growing jobs. We're not. And folks, we're right next door to them. But we don't look at what they do. No. You know why? Because we got so many people that are on government tit. And they stand on it. And let me tell you what, this tax increases that Bell Edwards and Jay Darden want and Jim Beam want is to buy the election next time, to buy the votes they need. And they keep accusing the Republicans. Jim Beam said it again today. Okay? House Republicans were never able to get over John Bell Edwards when he defeated David Bitter, the conservative idol. They're devoting every waking moment trying to come up with a punitive legislation and other obstacles they believe will help defeat the governor. Guess what, Mr. Beam? If we don't defeat this governor, there ain't going to be a dang job left in the state. And he also says the GOP, no new taxes and smaller government, is the hard line conservatives practice and preach. Jim, we tried it your way. I've never seen you write one article against John Alario and the led Senate and the budgets that we passed in the last 10 years, which have been Senate-led by Alario and the great taxman Joe Robideau. And your buddy Big Lake Jim Fannin, which is a joke. And these people are not trying to do what's best for us. They're trying to grow government. We don't need any more growth of government. We've had all the growth we can handle, and it's growing twice of the economy. Let me ask you a question. If GDP is down 0.4% and 0.2%, how come government's up since Bell Edwards got in office $5.4 billion? Economy's gone down and government spending's gone up. Folks, it's a disaster for bankruptcy. It's a disaster we got in the governor's office. Co-governorship didn't work. So guess who comes? The tax man, Joe Robideau. Gee, well, by the way, He's the parish president of our area. Guess what he wants this fall? New taxes. We got to take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hickson has a hotline, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We'll be right back. Let it be. I told you folks to please listen to me. And we would be right, and we wouldn't be in this situation, and that governor and the co-governor wouldn't be running things into the ground, and you wouldn't be reading all this same stuff. Anyway, welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Can anybody remember when we didn't have bills and budget problems, and they didn't have hospitals going to close, and now we got 37,000 eviction notices going to poor people saying, if they don't pass this budget July 1st, we're going to have to kick y'all out of the nursing home. They want poor people upset. They need people that need the government to be upset at these rascal Republicans who, by the way, only spent the money that they were told they have. Wow. Imagine that. You only spend the money that you're told that you have. And by the way, the reason why there's not any more money is because our economy cannot, listen to me, it cannot produce the amount of spending they want in Baton Rouge. It cannot happen. And a constitutional convention will not fix this. By the way, Brandon, in case I didn't tell you, Representative Jay Morris from the Monroe area, will join us about the constitutional convention. He's one of the few that have stepped forward and said, I'm against it. And I'll get to that in a minute as well. Somebody just wrote to me, Moon, less than a year ago, Monster Moto, the company that was hailed for bringing its manufacturing operations from China to Ruston, Brandon, is moving production back to China. As a result of the decision, about 20 people, roughly half the company's local workforce, will be laid off. The plan to create 287 new direct jobs over the next decade, an additional 292 new indirect jobs. Yes, sir. Thank you for sending me this, because this is the kind of BS. We have voodoo economics here. We've got voodoo economics. What is the term CB coined, Brandon? He said we do fake money? Something to do with fake money. We just, made up money. We just make up money. We make up jobs. Elio Motors, remember that plant? Boy, how's that plant working out? And how about the next vehicle? Herbie, if you listen today, how's that plant working out in Monroe? And Blanco created one, too, before they left. And finally, I called Greg Hilbin, the liar that he is, and he had to write a retraction that no, the business ain't coming. We do this all the time. Matter of fact, in one of the articles that it was the same article on the GDP. This is what we got to do here. Jim Richardson mentioned projects like DXC Technology, 2,000 job tech center in New Orleans coming online this year. Well, we don't know that. We've been told it's coming online, but we don't know that. So we got this company in China coming here, 287 new direct jobs, 292 new indirect jobs. We leaving. Monster Moto, M-O-T-O. Not Mojo, Moto. So they leaving. Folks, I'm telling you, this governor and Jay Darden don't have a clue. The printed press has no truth to it at all anymore. We got the best and brightest leaving. The people who've been moving here. When Elliot Stonecipher used to be part of the program, he would tell us about the people that were moving here were not your best and brightest. The best and brightest were leaving. So they now going to making sure the people that come here who are not our best and brightest, they know that what they got to have is benefits for the poorest. We're growing the poor section. We're making it easier to be poor in Louisiana. But Texas is making it easier to prosper, have a job, and grow the economy. I talked to my buddy in Texas this weekend. It was great to talk to him. And he's one of the guys that left. And when he got there, he said, man, from a tax perspective, my God, big difference from not having any income taxes. Property taxes don't bother him at all because his income taxes were a lot more than he was paying here. And his family's loving it, and they're in public schools. Check that out. They were in private schools here. Folks, I love this state. We got good people that want to fight the fight, but we don't have enough of them. And we're losing the ones that would fight and vote the right way. The jobs that are leaving here is the private sector. We're trying to build a public sector up, and it takes tax dollars. It takes tax dollars built off a great economy with private sector businesses, small, medium, and big companies booming here. Then it creates income taxes, sales taxes, property tax. It creates everything. If that part of your sector, according to the GDP, we're shrinking 0.4% and 0.2%, you can't come back and keep asking the few people for more tax dollars. It doesn't work that way, and that's why we're failing. We're led by Governor Bell Edwards and Governor Jay Dardenne, who, by the way, they think are just so much experts, and he beat David Vitter, and they can't get over it. Oh, we'll see. We got another election next year. You realize this time next year we're going to be talking about election. We're going to see Mr. Bean. How many people really love him and love his economic policies? But the problem is he hadn't talked about economics and jobs at all. He's too busy talking about taxes, 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 taxes. He talks more about taxes than me, which I don't think that's possible. And I got to pay every dang one of them, every single one of them. And yet our private sector just struggles along. And we just keep pounding the private sector, pounding the private sector, pounding the private sector. And old Bell Edwards and Jay Dardenne sitting there because the printed press wants them to stay and run the state into the ground. And there's the oil prices, over $70. The budget's based on about $51 a barrel, 53, something like that. It's up to 70 and climbing. And I read an article that said it's going to continue to climb. But where's our jobs back? Who wants to come invest where they're suing the hell out of the oil and gas companies? And oil and gas people are mad. But the problem is we're losing those people quickly to jobs in Texas. People that want to stay here. And people that are, I'm telling you, folks, there's so many people. We are growing our economy. Lance Harris, Brett Guyman, Cameron Henry, Blake Miguel, we've talked about this for years. You know, when I visit with Dallas has been saying they're putting them over the top. It's getting ready to be too late, folks. And Jim Beam keeps writing bad things about the Republicans and not a Medicaid. Obama's health care plan and the Medicaid expansion is destroying states like ours, not helping them. Which is what the plan was admitted to do. They wanted to destroy the healthcare system. And it's going to eventually blow up. Obama won't be nowhere around. And they'll probably blame some Republican somewhere because he didn't want to raise taxes. Folks, sooner or later, you can tax your way totally out of prosperity, stifle your growth, stifle the flow of money, stifle it all. Countries have proven this around the world over and over and over again. States have too. Illinois doesn't even pay their bills anymore. They got so much debt. Do you really think Bell Edwards and Jay Dardenne's doing such a wonderful job? They're driving us into the ground. It's GDP. If you hadn't read this, the GDP slumped for the second straight year, slowest rate in the country. And what are we talking about doing? Raising taxes. So we're sending out the poor. We're sending out people on the dialysis machines. We're sending people from the hospitals to all go to doom and gloom day, which starts today in the Senate Finance. Watch the headlines tomorrow of all the sad stories so they can get more tax dollars out of our pockets. And if you keep doing this, the economy's going to keep shrinking. We need investors. We need people that are here to invest in their companies, and we need people outside the state to invest in our state. It's so frustrating to watch. It just is, and I can't believe we're putting up with it. Yeah, we don't have a chance to vote him out next year, and he will. He's going to get beat. He's a one-term governor, both of them. But you got to have somebody who really understands economics and understands the economy grows first and government lags behind. You don't do what you're doing in Louisiana. The government skyrockets and our private sector actually is going down. It's not even following the government. It's going down. We've not grown in 2 years. What a great governor y'all got. Yep. Don't elect Vitter. Let's put Bell Edwards in there. That was smart. That was real bright. All right, we got to take a break. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome to the Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline waiting for Representative Jay Morris to join us. Constitutional Convention, of course, it is big news. By the way, just for the record, Nielsen ratings, I'm not going to get into ratings. Old school AM, FM radio is still the most popular media of all. I know you saw this, Brandon. The most popular media of all is still AM, FM radio. I'll give you the numbers later. Most popular formats, country music, closely followed by news talk. So, and by the way, news talk has been number one in this thing a bunch. So they nick and tuck with the country. So still a great place for people to advertise, and a lot of people still listen. All right, let's jump gears. Representative Jay Morris. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Moon.
Well, you're the first anti-Constitution convention guy on in a while. I've been having all the pro guys, which, by the way, is a great discussion, but it also concerns me. Anyway, great to have you with us, Representative Jay Morris.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Jay, you're not. Tell us why it's a bad idea in your opinion.
Well, the bottom line is there's going to be a lot of money being spent to promote this without telling us what is going to be in this new Constitution. It's like the Nancy Pelosi Obamacare argument. You know, we have to vote for the bill to know what's in it. And so what my point is, I may want to change the Constitution as well, which we can do by bills, as you know.
Yep.
They got to pass 2/3, and they have to go to the people, and we can reform things. But just say, give us a blank slate, and don't worry about what exactly it's going to look like. And by the way, there's a whole bunch of money going to be spent to promote this thing. So, you know, that always raises my antennae. But so it's not that I'm against the Constitution being changed at all. I just want to know what's it going to be changed to. You know, because there are things in there that are important to us and to me and to my constituents. So I'm just not ready to give a blank slate to a group of unknown delegates who will not be accountable to the people after the document is written. Then they're gone, and maybe they do a good job, maybe they don't, and then the money comes in to advertise and promote it. So, you know.
Well, Jay,
I'm not saying the fix is in, but you never know.
Well, Jay, one of the things I'm finding out by talking to people that are for the Constitutional Convention, I've had Daniel Ernst Palmer with the Pelican Institute. I've had Wags with Stephen Wagasback with Lobby. I've had Senator David Vitter, former Senator Vitter, who's a lobbyist. Somebody's paying him to lobby for the Constitutional Convention. And what I find out is they agree with everything me and you are talking about, a lot of things I say on the show, but we disagree on the Constitutional Convention because of what you just said. I want to know what's in it, what we're going to be talking about, what's really the goal. Because here's what I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing them talk about the homestead exemption. But I know that's a goal. I know that's a goal. It's been a goal for big business for a long time. They're not talking about the 2/3 vote on taxes and fees. But you and me, we both know deals will be cut. And that two-thirds cushion, in my opinion, is very important for us not being taxed totally to death. Okay? And then there's excess itemized deduction. There's also term limits. Now, I'm not a big term limit guy anymore. But the point being is there's also dedicated funds, Jay, Representative Morris, that also concern me because all those things were dedicated because people did not want to just give them the money. But they're not going to get in there and undedicate all the money. And that's what they're talking about when they talk about the Constitutional Convention. Everybody's saying, well, we can't do nothing with the budget. You know, you're down there fighting budget issues. We can't do nothing with the budget.
Right.
Well, we got dedicated money, and that's what they're talking about. Well, too much of it's dedicated. But tell me what they're going to get rid of. The MFP? I'm hearing whispers of it, but they're not being honest up front about it. And I think we need some honesty up front. I think that's what you're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, look, the MFP might need reforming and a way to redirect the money instead of an up or down formula. And I would be interested to hear any reform proposals, but making K through 12 funding a political football every year and appropriations in and out. I think we need to do something to to insulate us at least to a degree from that, and maybe put some parameters around it, where it can't go up more than the economy, and it can't go, but it can go down if we lose students, and if there's outflow of students and that kind of thing. The thing is that we have lots of money that's quote unquote locked up that has nothing to do with the Louisiana Constitution, and that's one of the misnomers that's being thrown out there, is that everything's locked up. Well, everything's not locked up. $6 billion, about $6.5 billion is not locked up by the Louisiana Constitution just in our state general fund, okay? Just in our state general fund. And now some of that is locked up for other reasons, because of consent decrees and federal requirements and things like that. But, the bulk of the money, and I sent you a little chart showing it, the bulk of it is in the MFP for K through 12 education. The next largest thing is Medical Assistance Trust Fund, which people are always wanting us to spend money on medical anyway, and Transportation Trust is actually the other than the MFP, the largest constitutional dedication, but that has a separate funding source, the gas tax.
Yeah.
And, maybe we need to spend it better, but I hadn't heard anybody say that we're way overspending on our roads and bridges.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's just, my frustration with it is I just think we need to be upfront, and I think we can do most of it by constitutional amendments, and we can put it out in front for everybody to see. I also and I think you're going to agree with this, and you may not. If you don't, let me know. I also am concerned about who the delegates are going to be. They keep saying this will be citizen-run and citizen-led. I'll be honest with you. I don't know of many citizens in this state, an average citizen, a plumber, a talk show host, an accountant, that can say, okay, I'll run the convention. In other words, how is it going to be led by a bunch of people who don't have a clue about what to do or what to do once you get there?
Some of those people might be really good delegates. The problem is they're not going to get elected if they don't have money and they're not running ads on TV and things like that. So people have even heard of them. You know how it is with elections. If you don't have enough money to be competitive, then you got no chance. Because let's be honest, a lot of people wait till they start seeing TV ads and they kind of like what they hear about somebody.
Sure.
Well, if you've got the Constitutional Convention that want the Constitution to look a particular way and they're willing to spend millions of dollars, say Joe Plummer, who's a smart guy, wants to run, and he throws his hat in the ring, and then Bill Smith down the street gets $150,000 raised for his or a PAC political action committee throws $150,000 supporting Bill as opposed to Joe the plumber. Joe the plumber loses, even though he might have been an excellent delegate.
Sure, I agree with you.
My concern is that certain groups will, if not absolutely control the convention, will have enormous influence in it. And the way it's drawn now, there would be 3 delegates from each Senate district, which really penalizes the rural areas. So in each Senate district, the more populated areas are probably going to get the delegates, and it's easier to make it a game of name recognition. Hey, I've heard of these 3 guys.
Well, the bill they're pushing. Actually, the delegates will be on the ballot the same time y'all are when you're running for election. So if not just use your example, if Jay Morris is wanting to run for this and you're on the ballot running against somebody for your seat, then you roll down and they put Constitutional Convention, and there's your name again, you probably get pulled again.
Yeah, well, maybe so, or maybe say, well, he wants too much. I'm not going to give it to him.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is I'm not against reforming things, but let me know what is it you want to reform, and we'll go with it.
But Jay, don't you agree with me? Don't you agree with me that what's really being sold from the perspective, and I know this from just talking to general people out there that say, well, I'm talking to people, and they go, well, we need to do something about our budget. I mean, just too much of it's just wrapped up so they can't do anything. And that's what you hear a lot. And I'm saying, hold up, that's how they're going to get it there. But you know yourself, something like $160 million from the lottery fund goes into education. They're not going to want to change that. They're not going to want to change any of that kind of stuff that's dedicated. Matter of fact, a few years ago, and I don't know if you was part of it, I think Brett Guyman and Lance Harris, you may have been part of it, Cameron, they tried to pull a bill. They tried to get a bill to undedicate everything, and they were lit up by municipalities and sheriff's department and people that got supplemental pay. They were lit up. They didn't shut it down because they didn't want to go through the pain.
Right. Well, my position is, hey, let's start with statutory dedications. And we got $700 million in statutory dedications that are basically diversions of state general funds that are dedicated to a particular purpose, not by the people, but by the legislature. And I've got a bill to undedicate about $100 million of that $700 million, and it got out of committee. It's on the floor this week, but it is facing an uphill battle from all kinds of special interests. But at least it's out there on the floor. And if people don't like the way I'm cutting, and a lot of them don't, they're letting me hear about it. Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm not going to stick to my guns, but let's start with that, and then see if you want to really undedicate the MFP.
Representative Jay Morris, mostly talking about the Constitutional Convention. Jay, real quick, is this thing going to happen now? Off the record, people are telling me that they don't think they have the votes to get it. I think they're going to end up getting the votes to have it. But do you think they have the votes right now to get this?
I don't know. Last time I talked to people around the floor, it didn't look like they had the votes. But you never know until it comes up and the lights go green or red. So we'll just have to see. And if they're able to pass it, it is what it is. We'll have to deal with it and try to massage it to try to make sure it's not harmful to the middle class citizens of Louisiana. That bill has some things in there that protect people like us. Those of us who file income taxes, federal income taxes, we get to deduct those taxes on our state tax return. There are a lot of people who want to get rid of that deduction.
Yep. That's why I brought it up to you. It's one of the things.
That's just one of the examples. There are some taxes that are in the Constitution, like mentioned in the Constitution, like inventory taxes, which big business does not like at all, and I get that. So if we get rid of that, that's fine. But who's going to pay the replacement? Is it going to be our middle class citizens? Are they going to make it up with higher income tax? Are they going to make it up with higher property tax at home on homes or commercial businesses as opposed to those who get inventory? I mean, there are lots of questions that have to be answered, and before you shift the tax burden, while we're not looking, shame on us if we haven't given fair warning.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Representative Jay Morris, my special guest. Yeah, I know this. The people that are crying, I'm not talking about necessarily business, but on the other side, they're crying. They want more tax dollars. They want more sustainable funds. They got to come get us. Now, one other thing I want you to comment on. It came out on Friday. Our GDP in the state of Louisiana was minus 0.4 in 2016 and minus 0.2 last year. Now, Jay, we have a problem. We have our migration problem because we have a job problem. This proves it. We're going down. Everything around us has been going up for the last 2 years. How do they keep getting taxes out of people when you got less people to pay them? Business is shrinking. How do you keep coming back? And we know for a fact, if you look at Cameron Henry and Lance Harris and these guys that put these numbers together over the last 10 or 14 years, our government's growing twice the rate of our economy. And the GDP has been proving it. I mean, what do you do?
I have a problem with that. You know, I mean, part of it's a function of lower oil prices. Our state is so heavily dependent on oil prices. It started in 2014 with the collapse in oil. So 15 and 16, you know, I mean, 16 and 15 went down too. I mean, let's face it, our GDP and unemployment was a lot higher then.
Unemployment's getting better because our migration, people quit looking for work. I mean, that's a fact. That's what's been told.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're not as diversified as we need either.
Right, we're not as diversified as we need to be, and so I've got a concern. I mean, that's why I told my constituents I am not going to raise taxes on citizens who live and work in this state. I'm just not going to. Now, will I lift some credits and some benefits and stop subsidizing certain businesses as much as before? Sure. I mean, $180 million on film tax credits, which has a terrible ROI according to all the economists. You know, would I lower our subsidies to the film industry before I vote to raise taxes? Darn right.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
I think there are ways.
I know this. Jay, our economy needs to grow twice of what government grows, and we're just the opposite. That's what worries me in the long run. Anyway, look, I got to run. Appreciate the call. We'll do it again.
Thanks for having me, Moon.
All right, we'll do it again. Jay Morris, Representative Morris, out of the Monroe area, our special guest. All right, when we get back, a lot more to